Welcome to Building the Future. I'm your host, Kevin Horick. You can check out new episodes of the show every Tuesday and Thursday at 2 p.m. If you missed an episode or want to get more information about the show, please visit buildingthefutureshow.com. Welcome back to the show. Today we have Mike Tatar, founder of VyonCloud. Mike, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, I'm really excited to have you on the show. I think what you guys are doing is basically the future of computing, and in my opinion, it's basically how I have all my computers set up already. And the more and more that you can basically stream software to me on any device, the happier I am. But kind of maybe before we kind of get into your startup, let's get to know you a little bit and maybe cover your background and where you grew up.
Sure. I was actually born in Romania, but I grew up in Chicago, Illinois.
Okay.
So I have a bit of a Romanian accent mixed with the Chicagoan accent.
Sure, that's interesting. So at what age did you kind of move to Chicago?
I was 8 years old when my family migrated to Chicago.
Okay. Interesting. So have you been back to Romania?
I have not.
Oh,
Since I left, I have not been back, no.
Do you have many memories of that? Like 8 is kind of a...
Yeah, just very few of
Sure.
the house that we were in, but most of my memories are from Chicago. And I do go back there quite a bit,
Sure.
2 times a year.
Sure. I've never been to Chicago, but it's one of those cities that I definitely want to see one of these days.
Yeah, it's an amazing city. I really like it. Everything from food to people. It's a great place to hang out at.
Sure. So I'm kind of curious to know how you kind of got into technology, and I'm assuming it was kind of at a young age.
It was. My earliest memory of working with computers was a Macintosh 2, and
Sure.
it was in my 6th grade class. And the computer lab kept having issues, and I was the go-to guy. High school actually hired me to set up all their labs, their computer labs, and then just kind of spiraled from there. I've got my undergrad in information technology from Western International, and my master's with a technology focus from University of Phoenix online.
Okay, interesting. How did you find kind of doing your master's online?
I really liked it. I was an employee of University of Phoenix Online. I was the senior IT manager.
Okay.
So it was an interesting concept. It was a lot of work, but I really enjoyed it, having the flexibility, going back to Chicago and being able to get on a computer, post my homework, communicate with my professor, and go back and forth.
Interesting. So I'm kind of curious. So you basically were going to school, working full time. Kind of how did you kind of evolve into doing your own startup?
Prior to VyonCloud, I had an IT consulting firm.
Okay.
For 10 years.
Okay.
And based out of Phoenix, Arizona, we had over 300 local businesses that were basically their IT department.
Okay.
And while doing IT consulting, the conversation quickly shifted from how can I save money by migrating to the cloud? What's the initial existing established clients would look at their servers and say, okay, our servers are outdated, our IT is outdated. What could we do to save money? And the cloud always came up. It was always the go-to. And instead of buying servers and new systems, migrating their data and functions to the cloud made sense. They had predictable IT costs, no initial investment, and unlimited support.
Right. Okay. So what made you kind of decide to kind of finally start VyonCloud?
after developing the system and implementing it, well, it was a need. It was basically out of necessity.
Okay.
We were meeting with customers, and they needed a better, faster, more elastic type of solution with predictable costs. So that's what got me to start VyonCloud.
Okay.
So it was pretty much out of necessity. We were talking to customers that didn't want to have an IT person anymore, didn't want to have a server, didn't want to have all the headaches that came along with traditional IT. And everybody's heard of the cloud, but nobody really knew what it was and how it actually works. And that's where VyonCloud came in. And we showed them that you can have all your applications, all your desktops, and everything that you would have in-house in the cloud with the added feature of accessing it from anywhere, plus at a much, much lower cost. On average, we're saving a typical office 42%
Wow.
in IT costs a year.
That's incredible. So, what year did you start it?
VyonCloud was established in 2012.
Okay. Okay. So a few years ago now.
Yep.
Actually, that's a long time for a startup, right?
Correct.
Probably not even
Yeah.
considered a startup anymore. But so I'm kind of curious. So you kind of mentioned that it's basically being able to access anything from desktops and applications and stuff in the cloud. How exactly does it work, and kind of what types of applications do you guys usually do?
Sure. So the way it works, you look at your typical office environment now. They have a server, they have email, they have Outlook, Office, they have quite a few applications that they use. Some custom applications, databases that they wrote. Some are off the shelf, like QuickBooks, or their financial information, or Sage, or any other line of business application, depending on what the business does. So they would typically have a server that handles all of this in-house, or maybe several servers. So the way it works is we literally take those applications and we put them on secure virtual machines in the cloud.
Okay.
And then we have an encrypted connection that could be accessed via an icon on the user's desktop or a web browser. And we support Internet Explorer, Firefox, Chrome, and so on. They would authenticate, and their applications or their entire desktop would be there.
Interesting.
So you can have all your desktops along with all your applications, and all the users within the company have access to the same files, obviously with the needed permissions, and the same applications as well.
Okay, that's interesting. So you mentioned kind of you have a desktop app, or you can access it through the browser. Do you support kind of Windows, Mac, and do you support tablets at all?
We do. So all of the above. We support Windows 7 all the way up to 10. We
Okay.
support all the Mac operating systems, along with Galaxy Tab or iPads or things like that. We can even get our products working on an iPhone or
Oh,
an Android phone.
very cool. I'm just assuming that the screen's probably just too small to do some work, but it's nice to have if you really need it.
Absolutely. And with some of the newer phones, the screens are getting bigger and bigger. It seems like the new smartphones, like the iPhone Plus
Sure.
and the Note, Galaxy Notes, are obviously have bigger screens. So yeah, but you're absolutely right. The screen does, the screen does make a difference.
No, that makes a lot of sense. So I'm kind of curious to know about your different kind of packages and plans that you offer companies.
Sure. So we have three packages that we primarily work with. It's our application cloud, our business cloud, and our complete cloud.
Okay.
Our application cloud is it's just that. It's an application. A business will come to us and say, hey, we have our financial application, or we have our manufacturing or inventory application. and we want to make it accessible to, a remote warehouse. We want to move it from in-house. It's too much maintenance, too much computing power. We don't want to buy a new server, whatever the situation may be. At that point, we would take that application and we would install it and upload it to the cloud, and then publish it to all the users within the company. And they just see just that application, not a complete desktop, not anything else, just that application.
Oh, interesting.
And it acts exactly as it would run locally. The funny part is that most of the times we would go into a client, and their biggest concern is that the application would actually run slower in the cloud, but it actually runs faster. So they're most of the times they're pleasantly surprised that the application's running faster than it did locally.
Is that because you have like really powerful servers kind of doing all the hard processing kind of on your end, and they're basically just seeing the application and it's not actually doing any of the processing on their machine?
Exactly.
Okay.
So we have these very high-end servers on the back end that could handle a lot more processing. Our disks are a lot faster than you would typically get on a small to medium-sized server.
Okay.
So that's what actually makes things run a lot faster.
Okay.
Now, our business cloud, it includes everything. So you can get rid of all the servers in the office. You don't have to buy high-end workstations that requires processing. You can get by with what they call thin clients,
Okay.
which are just these little dumb terminal type of computers. They don't process much. They don't have anything on them. They're just a method to connect to the cloud.
Interesting.
And the business cloud includes everything. It includes your desktop. It includes your antivirus. It includes, all the browsers that you use, all the applications that you have. So we build an entire back-end infrastructure that you would typically have in your office, but you can connect to it securely using HTTPS, the same encryption that banks and everybody else out there uses, to your desktop.
Right.
So you could be working on an email and a bunch of documents on your work computer and your thin client at your office, and you realize you're late for a meeting, and you grab your iPad and you go home and you bring up your iPad and you type in your password, and now you have the same email, Word documents, applications, everything that you had open, and you can continue working from there.
That's very cool. So can you do like multiple OSs? So for example, like I have some Windows applications that I use, and then I have some Mac applications. You could set me up kind of a Windows box and a Mac box?
We typically don't set up. So the short answer is yes, but we don't have a lot of requests for Mac virtual desktops.
Sure. Okay.
Most of the business applications, because we are a business-to-business type of setup here. Most business applications run on a Windows platform or a Linux platform.
Okay, but it is possible, because that's kind of the whole fascination of me, is like I just want to be able to pick an application, and then if it runs on Windows or Mac or Linux, just load it for me.
Right. So yeah, it's definitely possible.
Sure.
Right now, 99.9% of the applications out there that we use that are business related are running on a Windows platform.
Sure.
Now, the nice thing is that you can actually use a Windows application, and this is another thing that our customers or potential customers always get excited about. They see this Windows application and they say, it would be cool if this would run on my Mac. And
cool.
we upload it in the cloud, and all they do is click on the application icon. It looks like it's locally installed on their Mac iOS, but it's really not. Once they click on it, it connects in the background to the cloud, and the application's presented like it's installed locally.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love that. I'm kind of curious then to maybe know what's the complete cloud.
Sure. So some of our customers are larger in size, and they have an IT department, and what they prefer to do is have all of their systems in the cloud, but they prefer to manage it. So at that point, we provide them with the network, with all the operating systems, all the servers, and everything that they need, but they still manage it. It's completely under their control, and they handle all the day-to-day operations on it.
Okay, and I would assume they have to go through a bunch of kind of training, or not really?
It's actually pretty intuitive. We provide them secure access to all the systems. They will typically come to us and say, here are all the requirements that we have.
Okay.
20, 30 servers. We need it to be on this network, and we need a VPN secure link to our office. And then we turn that documentation over, and there is about 4 hours worth of training that we go over with them.
Okay, that's not bad at all.
No.
So I'm kind of curious to know what is kind of the pricing for kind of each one of the different plans?
Sure. We try to make it as simple and as clear-cut as possible. So Application Cloud, it's $35 per user. It's just that simple. And you can load
I'm
up
assuming?
a month,
Okay, yeah.
yes. And you can load up to 3 applications.
Okay.
So if you have 3 applications that you use on daily basis, and you have 3 users, you're looking at $105 a month to run all of your applications in the cloud and not need to purchase a server or anything in-house.
Okay, interesting.
Our business cloud, it's $55 a month. And then with that one, again, you get a full virtual desktop that you can connect to, along with all your Microsoft licensing as well. So you have access to Microsoft Office. The latest version, 2016, is out right now. So Outlook and Word, Excel, all those applications are included in our business cloud.
Okay, so do I still have to buy additional licenses for those, or like every time there's a new version of Office, I just get it?
You just get it.
Okay.
It's included in the subscription, so you never actually have to buy a Microsoft license again.
Interesting.
The minute a new version comes out, it upgraded, and then we take care of it for you on the back end.
Okay, and then I'm assuming if I don't want to upgrade, I just tell you guys to not upgrade me for some reason. I know that's sometimes a issue in enterprise.
Correct. Yeah, you might have some, incompatibility issues with your other applications.
Sure.
Where the latest version of Office might not work with your, line of business application. At that point, we keep you at a supported version of Office, so we keep that integration going.
Okay, so if I kind of want to get started with you guys, how do I go about doing that? Like, do I just go to your website, or do I have to call you, or how to, or what, kind of maybe walk me through that?
Sure. The easiest thing to do is go to our website and sign up. We have a sign up link on the home page and also on the application pages. You can give us a call if it's a more complex environment. If it requires our technical staff to meet with your technical staff or the potential customers' IT staff. But typically from our website, you should be able to just go in there, sign up, and within a couple of hours, we'll have your virtual cloud server and everything you need to get started.
Sure. So I'll post that link in the show notes, but just for the listener, do you want to maybe spell out the website for people?
Absolutely. It's VyonCloud.com. So that's VyonCloud.com.
Okay, very cool. So I'm kind of curious to know, I know you touched on this a little bit earlier in the show, but do you want to maybe kind of compare in-house IT to kind of cloud IT and why a lot of companies are kind of going towards the cloud compared to, keeping servers locally and, having some people on staff?
Sure, absolutely. The IT industry is really changing. People are bringing their own devices. People
Sure.
are wanting to be more mobile. A lot of companies now are having employees working from home.
Sure.
They have a VoIP phone at home. So they're looking for mobility, flexibility, and they want to be able to predict what their IT costs are going to be.
Right.
So what we're seeing is a lot of companies will come to us and say, we're going to do our finance department where they can work from home. So we need a reliable solution that they can access. So that's one scenario.
So wait, sorry to just kind of interrupt you. So you're seeing certain companies even just move certain departments, maybe not the whole company right off the bat?
Correct.
Interesting.
So they're exactly. So, and the other thing that's happening is it's a way for companies to save money because they're not paying for office space now. They don't
Sure.
need as fast as internet connection and some other things. So yeah, they have certain departments that are working from home. They can access the system whenever they need to, and they have everything that they need in front of them at click of a button. The other thing that's happening is the bring your own device. Companies are buying less and less devices, less computers, and employees are bringing their own Mac computer, their own Windows laptop, and they're able to connect to the cloud and have their own private desktop there without having to install anything on their local computer or touch anything on their personal computer. It's all secure and isolated in that virtual environment.
Sure.
So it's definitely changing. The IT industry it's going from Monday morning our server's down. We called our IT guy. He's trying to get in. Unpredictable power failures and things like that cause hardware to fail, and those are things of the past now with the cloud.
Sure. No, that makes a lot of sense. And it's even interesting because if you guys, well, sorry, not if you guys, if there's like powers down in my building, well, I can just go to the Starbucks or something else, right? And like basically pick up and where I left off, right? So it's interesting, and I love that kind of approach. I'm kind of curious to maybe cover a little bit more, and this is my own curiosity, about kind of running it kind of as an application or in the browser. Do you find much difference in kind of, I guess, speed and whatnot, or is it pretty much the same thing? I get that you still have like the browser bar and whatnot at the top, but is it basically just like a full-blown application running inside the browser window?
It is a full-blown application running. It's not necessarily in the browser window. So there's a pop-up that comes up,
Okay.
and your browser's sitting on the back end. Your browser does the authentication and provides the access to it. So it is using your browser, but
Okay.
it is a full-blown application, and you can maximize it to where you see it on your full screen without the browser frame around it.
Okay, so do I need to install kind of like a plugin or something into my browser?
Correct. So
Oh,
there's
okay.
the Microsoft Remote Desktop ActiveX plugin on browsers. Correct. So there is a plugin that you would be required to accept when you connect.
Okay, very cool. So I'm kind of curious. You don't have to necessarily mention company names, but I'm just kind of curious about maybe cover some success stories of kind of companies that you've moved to the cloud, and kind of maybe if you cover departments or whatnot or whatever you kind of feel comfortable covering. But I'd like to kind of just share with the listener some success stories you've had.
Yeah, I mean, we can, from the transportation industry to the medical industry. We recently did a medical office that has 5 different locations.
Okay.
And that's a perfect example because not only do they have 5 different locations, but they also outsource their billing department. Not outsource it, but decided to reduce office space and have all the billers, the medical billers, work from home.
Okay.
So, this was an 80-user environment,
Wow.
and we were able to get them up in about a day and a half.
Wow,
They
that's
were all
that
working
quick.
off, right? They were working off the cloud. So, but again, we have transportation companies that have offices in Florida, that have offices in Phoenix, Arizona, California, and again benefit from the exact same thing. They're all working on the same systems. They're in remote offices. Their internet connection doesn't have to be as robust as it used to be to access information from one office to another, because it's all locally and everything's just streaming to each office. So there's quite a few success stories out there that we've migrated to the cloud, and people are absolutely just happy about it.
Sure. So I'm kind of curious to know what happens if I don't have internet connection. I'm assuming I can't use any of this stuff then?
Correct. If your internet connection goes down, you would not be able to access the cloud. We had customers back east this winter with the winter storm that they had issues with their internet. Obviously their internet were now due to the heavy storms and stuff like that. And it's funny because people get very creative. I talked to quite a few of them, and they said, I just turned on my cell phone at home, and I advised all my 15 employees to turn on their hotspots on their phones and connect to the cloud and continue working.
Sure. No, that's interesting.
So none of them had to go to the office or anything, because the roads were obviously covered in snow. So they all worked from home.
Sure. No, I think that's the thing that I know, like, I always have this conversation with people that, whether it's they get a new computer or whatnot, and they're always like, well, what works offline? It's like, well, in my experience, the absolute max you can do, even if you have all your applications stored locally and you have no internet access, is like tops an hour. It's usually closer to maybe 20 minutes to 30 minutes in my experience, because you need to either research something or look something up or pull something from email or so, like, if you don't have the internet, you basically can't work. And so whether you tether through your phone, like you just mentioned, or you go to like Starbucks or a coffee shop or wherever that has internet, you basically need the internet. And so that's why I think what you guys are doing is already kind of where everything's going to go, and there won't be servers inside of anybody's, office in the next, 5 to 10 plus years. And it's always kind of fascinating to kind of have people like yourself and companies like what you guys are doing kind of already, you're almost like kind of building the future, for lack of a better kind of term, right? And it's where things are going, because nobody wants to spend thousands of dollars on a computer anymore when they need things to run in a browser or on all their devices. They don't need it anymore. They just need like a cheap computer to access this stuff.
You're absolutely correct. And you look at a new company starting out, a new medical office, a new construction company, or anything like that. To have that initial investment, or to not have that initial investment, is a huge help, because you can spend that money on marketing to develop your company. And as your company grows, you just add another user or another 10 users or another 100 users, and all your applications and everything's on there. So you don't have to have a physical location to store all of your servers and your technology. Now you can start a new company, have everything in the cloud, and have employees all over the country or all over the world. We have accounting firms in South Africa connecting to our cloud and using it on a daily basis.
Interesting. So how long does it take for me to onboard a new employee?
Anywhere from 15 to 30 minutes.
Oh, so basically that's way less time than it does to actually set them up if you have something internal.
A lot less, yes, because we typically build a custom template for you. So adding another employee or removing another employee, removing an employee takes about 30 seconds. Adding an employee takes about 15 to 30 minutes.
Okay, interesting. I'm assuming that it doesn't make sense ever for me to just, like, if I have an employee leave and a new person starting, kind of say, like, hypothetically the same day, it doesn't make sense to just rename that employee. It makes sense to delete them and add them as a new employee, correct?
Correct. We typically add new employees. We don't retain or rename the old employees that leave.
Sure. No, that makes sense. I am curious, and I know I asked you this when we talked earlier, but Any luck on kind of Chromebook support? I know there was some kind of technical challenges that was kind of on Google and Chrome OS's end, but I was wondering if there's been any progress on that side of things.
We're still working on development. As of today, we still don't have a plugin for the Chromebook. That's about the only device that I can think of that we don't support out there. We support Microsoft Surface, the RT edition, the Lockdown edition, all right. Android devices, all iPhone devices. Part of it is Google as well. They're working on making their platform a little bit more open as well. The Chromebook was simply designed to be a internet browser only type of operating system.
Yeah, no, I figured that was still going to be your answer, because I know Google's like locked a bunch of stuff down where you guys can't actually get access to certain parts of the OS that you'd need to build a proper plugin and launch applications properly. So I get it's on their end, and I was just hoping that they made strides that allow, basically your technology to run on their platform, because I would love to move everything I do to a Chromebook, and it's not there yet, and it's probably years out, but a guy can hope, right?
Yes. That's all we have is hope.
Yeah, exactly. No, that's cool. So I'm kind of curious to know a little bit more about kind of where you see things going in the future for kind of the cloud and, kind of software and applications and OSs running in the cloud.
Well, I see within 5 to 10 years that all or most, if not 90% of businesses, small, medium, large, and some enterprise, will utilize the cloud in this virtual environment in a virtual desktop. I think that there's a lot of people are still scared of the word cloud. Okay. They don't know where the data is. They don't know how it works. They don't know how to migrate to it, and that's where we come in. That's where I think the hugest benefit that we offer is that it's a complete turnkey solution. Somebody will come to us and say, we have this application, but we have no idea how to get it in the cloud. We would love to see it in the cloud because we have remote users, but we have no idea how to get it there. And we do it all. We set it up from the ground up. We will set up the back-end cloud infrastructure. We'll migrate your data. We'll set up your users. We'll do remote sessions with the users to help them connect their first time and provide the training. So it's a complete end-to-end system that we offer. Sure. We don't just send you a username and a password and say, here you go, connect and figure it out. We actually do it for you. We train you on it, and till you can access your application and continue working like you did the day before without you even knowing that you're working in the cloud.
Right. So what do you tell people when they say, like, where is my data stored?
Sure. We tell them that it's stored in the United States. Okay. We have a couple of data centers. Nothing ever leaves United States. And there's been larger clients, that insisted on seeing our data center, and we're more than happy to give them tours and actually show them where their data is going to sit.
Okay. Which is interesting because you just basically take them into a server room and say, like, you're right there in this little box.
Well, it's the data centers are a lot more advanced.
Sure.
They see that there's 24/7 security equipped with tasers, and there's
really
a complete network operation centers that monitors internet traffic throughout the world and virus patterns throughout the world, and there's retina scan to get into the building, and access codes and things of that nature, multiple generators and battery backups and redundant fiber networks. So it's an impressive building, but most advanced data centers have all the things that I've just mentioned.
Sure.
But
No, that makes a lot of sense. So I'm kind of curious to know, in your opinion, do you think kind of the operating system will kind of disappear because it's becoming almost like irrelevant nowadays, in my opinion?
You're absolutely right. The operating system will change, and it has started changing. Microsoft has released in 2012 the first cloud operating system, Server 2012,
Okay.
and they're starting to build on that. Server 2016 is going to come out this year, and it's going to have added features that are cloud enabled. So all the software development companies are preparing for that. But Server 2012 was the first one that actually came out that it was designed for the cloud to be a true cloud operating system.
Okay.
So yeah, the operating systems are definitely going to start doing less and less. Just like an iPhone, all your apps are pretty much cloud-based apps. They might run some small processing on your local iPhone, but you can throw 1,000 apps on a small device.
Sure. And realistically, most of those devices will not even open, or they'll open and prompt you saying, connect to the internet and then try me again, basically.
Right.
No, that...
And
oh, sorry, go ahead.
a lot of what's fueling this as well, too, our internet connection speed has gone up dramatically in the last 15 years. 15 years ago, if you had a T1 that was 1.5 megabits per second up and down, it was a big deal. And now we're getting residential at 100 megabits. And businesses are even getting higher and higher, and we're starting to get into the gigabit range now, where it's 1,000 megabits. So 15 years ago, 1.5 was fast, and now 1,000 is fast.
Sure.
So that's helping this as well, because people are having a much better experience using the cloud because they have a better internet connection.
Sure. And it seems like I know Google's doing fiber in a bunch of cities across America, and I think if I remember correctly, AT&T and a bunch of other big kind of internet providers are also starting to move fiber into certain cities. So and Wi-Fi, I know certain cities are even basically making entire downtowns or parts of the city like free internet access or very inexpensive monthly.
Absolutely. Yeah. So getting internet access nowadays, it's fairly easy. Like you said, you can go to the local coffee shop. You can go work from home. You can hotspot your phone. So yeah, these types of changes, it's just helping fuel the cloud.
Sure. No, that makes a lot of sense. But Mike, maybe we're kind of running out of time, so maybe let's close the show with kind of promoting again where people can find VyonCloud online. Any social media links you want to promote for the company or yourself?
Sure. So again, they can find us at VyonCloud.com, VYON Cloud.com, and we're on Twitter, we're on Facebook, and we have all the social media links on our website as well.
Okay. Perfect. Well, thanks again for doing this. This has been awesome, and I'm excited to see where you guys kind of go in the future.
Great. Thank you.
Perfect. All right. Well, we'll talk soon. Have a good day.
Take care.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Thanks for listening. The music for the show is done by Electric Mantra. You can check them out at electricmantra.com and keep building the future.